Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, and I'm joined today in studio with two guests. Fred Silbermann, who's the program facilitator for Meriden Adult Education. Hi, Fred. How are you?
Good, thanks, Steve.
And thanks for being with us. And Lynn Stephens, who's the school counselor of Middletown Adult Education. Thanks for being with us today, too, Lynn.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
And what we want to talk about today is, in general, what adult education programs provide to the communities that they're housed in, but also some of the connections between adult education, Middlesex Community College in particular, and the workforce initiatives that are happening in the state. But I think, for our listeners, Fred, if you don't mind, kind of a broad overview of what adult education means in each community that they serve.
In adult education, we have certain domains of programming that we offer, and these are mandated by the state of Connecticut. And we do a lot of work with English as a second language for those whose English skills need work in order to help them have a better situation, both at home and particularly in employment. We have other students who come to us functioning at a very low literacy and numeracy level, and typically that's below 8th grade, and we have programs designed to boost their skills. We also have different pathways to lead to a high school diploma. There are 3 of them. One is the GED, widely known. That's an examination-based method. The second is called our Credit Diploma program. Students accumulate credits much as they would have in a traditional high school. And the third one is NEDP, the National External Diploma program, where students demonstrate a series of competencies that would be typically equivalent to a high school diploma.
Okay. And adult education programs are parts of the local school districts in the cities and towns where they operate, correct?
Correct.
So, Lynn, how does a student qualify for an adult education program, whether it's high school completion or some of the other things that you do? You have to be of a certain age, or?
You do, absolutely. In order to officially withdraw from high school, you need to be at least 17 years old. Once the student is officially withdrawn from high school, they are eligible to enroll in adult education at that time. And at that time, they'll have an assessment test to determine placement into our program, which I tell all students, everybody is allowed into the program. It's just a matter of where they start. Everybody starts on a different step of the ladder, and we have a program for everybody. So some students, as Fred said, place into our adult basic education program, which helps to really make sure that they have a strong foundation for our high school level programs. And some students place directly into our high school level programs.
Do the programs kind of run on a rolling basis, or do they follow what you might think of a typical school year?
It varies from adult education center to adult education center. Specifically in Middletown, we do have open enrollment for students, so they can apply throughout the year and be tested throughout the year for enrollment. And I know Fred can speak to Meriden in their enrollment process.
We have historically followed a semester approach. We have a fall semester and a spring semester. Sometimes we have a summer semester if budget permits. We have made modifications and will continue to make modifications if a client is referred to us or self-refers, and we'll do an intake, and sometimes we'll get the process started before the open registration, primarily to help the student feel as though they have a place to go and their needs are being respected, and we're trying to do everything we can to help them with their goals.
And I would imagine certainly one of the main goals, as you talked about earlier, was high school completion, but I know the 3 of us have worked together and also together in partnership with Wallingford Adult Education to make sure that these students are college ready and career ready. Mm-hmm. So in what ways do we provide those services through adult education to make sure students can continue their education if they so desire it?
Well, it's a combination, Steve. We follow curricula which are supposed to include lessons which are college and career ready. And we're held accountable for using those curricula and attending professional development workshops so that what we teach makes our students college and career ready. Plus, we talk about next steps during the teaching moment. And during, obviously, classroom time, we talk about why are we doing this work? What is the next step? What will you need to get a job? Where are you in the search process? What tools do you need? And how can we find solutions to these challenges?
So, Lynn, it sounds like there are, in addition to classroom teachers, other staff who do help with this transition and making sure students have the support that they need for those steps.
Absolutely. I think many people, when they think about adult education, don't think about the piece that Fred is talking about, which is the preparation for post-secondary or careers. And that's something that we put a lot of focus into. When a student enters adult education, we immediately begin the process of planning for the future for them, which involves having a job shadow internship coordinator. We have a college and career counselor. So we will do career exploration. We will also help students to engage in the job shadows, as I mentioned, and really make sure that they have, when the students leave adult education, that they have a plan for what their next step is, whether that's post-secondary or directly into employment. And as Fred mentioned, making sure that we are held accountable for those steps.
And what kinds of companies do you work with for these job shadowing experiences?
You know, we engage with all different types of companies. We do put a lot of focus in some of the sector demand areas, which are, the healthcare and the IT and the manufacturing, for sure. But we also like to make sure that we're focusing on student interest as well. Luckily, they seem to fall in those areas, so it works out quite well quite often. But that's a big focus for us. But we collaborate heavily with Chamber of Commerce, Middlesex Community College, and our Workforce Development Board to ensure that the job shadows can take place.
Right, and all three of our agencies plus Wallingford are all part of the Workforce Alliance Workforce Board region. And
Correct.
I know, Fred in particular, you've worked really closely with them in designing ways that we can make sure that students do get perhaps some financial benefits for their education or their laddering into careers.
The Workforce Development Board we belong to is one of 5 in the state, and it's called Workforce Alliance. It meets the needs of employers and potential employees in the South Central area where we are. And there are many incentive programs for employers to consider our clients as they become ready. There are financial incentives that Workforce Board will work out with them. There are paid training programs that Workforce Development Board has put together, and we feed students into these all the time. One of the programs getting a lot of attention these days is called Skill Up. And this is a program where students study for 5 weeks full-time, and at the end of that period are considered eligible for entry-level manufacturing jobs. And in collaboration with Workforce Board, employers are looking them over during that training period, and our clients typically leave with 2 job offers. And there is work done on employability skills and all the collateral things that are needed for success. And Middlesex Community College is one of the 2 providers in this area, and the Middlesex program is delivered at Vinyl Technical School, where there's a shop and the students can gain access to the equipment that they need.
Yeah, so it truly is like a I was going to say 3-way, but it's really more than the 3 of us providers all doing this. So it really does bring in partners from workforce, the technical schools, the colleges, adult ed, and the cities and towns where we work. And that, you're right, we had graduated, I think, 15 students from the first Skill Up program and hope to bring one back in January.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other ways that we have collaborated together too, which I think we'll get a little bit more into after our break. But I think in terms more of Skill Up, how do students get referred from programs like adult education into programs like Skill Up through the college. Lynn, you were saying earlier, some of it is general interest by the students and trying to match that with what the workforce needs are. What are there some sort of assessment tools that you use with the students to see what areas of interest are most compatible with their career aspirations?
Yeah, we certainly do. We actually use a program called Career Cruising, which gives students an interest inventory and assessment. But we also have a lot of presenters come in as well to expose students, because one of the things that we've learned is that exposure is a big piece of the process, and students, many adults at students have not had that exposure. So we will, in fact, we have somebody from Skill Up coming to speak to students in just a couple of weeks. In addition, we have somebody coming a few weeks later from Middlesex Community College to talk about non-credit-based programs. So we find that a lot of student interest is generated just alone in hearing about the different opportunities that exist throughout the programs.
Okay. I think we should say that even all of the programs offered by adult education are free of charge to students?
Correct. Free of charge, and also daytime and nighttime programs available to students.
Okay. And how big is Middletown Adult Education? How many students do you have on average?
We currently, we run about 500 students a year in our high school completion programs and adult basic education programs. We also have another component called our enrichment program, and that's that catalog that people will see come home in the mail, which offers a lot of general interest programs. And between the general interest programs and our other programs, we see about 2,000 individuals come out throughout the year.
Okay. And Fred, how about Meriden?
I don't have statistics with me on our enrichment program, but I do know it's smaller than yours. We offer fewer of those classes, but in our academic area, within the course of a year, about 500 students are getting services. That's a lot to keep track of, too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, we have to take a short break. I've been speaking with Fred Silbermann, Program Facilitator at Meriden Adult Education, and Lynn Stephens, the School Counselor at Middletown Adult Education. And we'll talk more about what adult education provides in our towns and cities and the collaboration with Middlesex Community College and other agencies after our break. This is Steve Minkler, and you're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I chose Middlesex Community College because of the location. Everyone's always willing to help, and they all just want you to succeed at the end of the day. Phlebotomy was my major, and what made me choose it was working in a group home and just seeing the pain that they went through. I highly recommend MxCC's continuing education program. This fast-paced course allowed me to get a phlebotomy job in a field that I love.
My name is Tahira Barker. I'm prior service Navy, currently Air Force Reserves.
My name is Vincent Murata III. I was prior Navy in the United States military.
I hope to graduate from here with my associates in biotechnology.
There's a lot of support for veterans specifically.
The veterans were quick to introduce themselves to me, tell me that anything that I needed on campus or off campus, that they were there to help.
To be able to transition from military life to being your own person.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, together with my guests Fred Silbermann from Meriden Adult Education and Lynn Stephens from Middletown Adult Education. One of the things that we started to go into a little bit before our break was the partnership that the three of our agencies have, also working together with Wallingford Adult Education, to provide a program called Transitions. And Fred, in general, how does Transitions work, and what is its basic purpose?
With generous funding from Middlesex Community College, we do our very best to meet the needs of college-bound students who need remedial, sometimes called developmental, educational services to help them get to levels which are sufficient for them to meet the demands of a credit-bearing course. Not every student applying for college is at those levels. We learn of this through the results of their placement testing. And while many students feel that that testing may showcase weaknesses, we do explain to them that this is really telling all of us what we need to help them with to leverage success.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we often do try to tell students sometimes, in some cases, it can be a refresher for students who may have been out of school for a while.
Right.
And we do see quite a few students who do fit that category, don't we, Lynn?
We do, absolutely. There's a wide variety of students. We certainly see those students that may have some college experience but have not been in college for a while or have been out of the workforce for a while. We also see, as Fred mentioned, those students who are coming directly out of high school but maybe don't have the academic skills. The common theme among many of the students is that the confidence level isn't quite there yet. So as much as the academic piece is addressed, we also try to address the confidence piece as well. And we do that through working with students to explore careers as we do at the high school level, and also just giving them strategies to be successful at the college level and support them.
Yeah, I think for clarity for the listeners is that these are students who first must apply to Middlesex Community College and go through that initial English and math placement testing if they don't already have an SAT score or previous college experience. And then we work together with Meriden, Middletown, and Wallingford Adult Ed to provide these courses to them. Some are on our campus and some are with you, both.
Yes. We have academics from 1 to 4 on Tuesday and Thursday, and then 2 other features of the program. On those same 2 days, the students find their way over to the Platt High School campus of Middlesex Community College, which is in Meriden, and they participate in a 3-credit course called College Success. And in that class, they learn what they need to become prepared students. They learn how to do research. They learn how to take notes. They learn how to access resources on the campus. They learn how to communicate. I believe they have to do an oral presentation for the final requirement. And then we have another component in Meriden. Many of our transition students are second language learners. So we have between 4 o'clock and 5:30, a break time, I have an ESL instructor at Platt High School so they can stop in and see her and get the necessary work that they need on regarding the language, because they're going to need that. Mm-hmm. They're going to need that for success when they get to English 101. They're going to have to know how to write. I think it's called composition,
yes.
That class.
That's right. So
those are our major components, plus whatever we do, such as Lynn mentioned, during our class time to talk about the value of education, to talk about the importance of going to the MxCC website. And we try to cultivate an awareness of what it means to be enrolled in college. We don't take this for granted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know the students don't take it for granted either.
No, no, absolutely not. Similar to Fred, we run a very similar program, including the ESL component. One of the things that we found is that there are a large portion of our ESL population at Middletown Adult Education who would like to attend college, some even having advanced degrees from their country of origin, but cannot find access to the community college or to employment. So our goal really is to help these students to be successful with that. So we've developed an afternoon program for individuals with English as a second language to prepare them for college level work as well, and also incorporated into that the job shadow piece and the career exploration, and have had some really good successes with our ESL students in placing them directly into employment or training programs as well.
And transitions is certainly for a student who is looking to go the, if you will, traditional route to find or enroll in an associate degree program, but it's also, we found, really useful for students who want a shorter term, maybe non-credit experience, but that is really preparing them for a job-ready skill in many cases.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that many students are not aware of the options that exist on the non-credit side. So part of the exploration piece generally exposes students to those options, and they become aware of different courses that they could take that maybe they didn't know existed through the non-credit side as well. So again, that exploration piece is just as much a component as the academic piece.
Right, and one of those experiences Fred mentioned earlier was the Skill Up program, which is directed toward manufacturing, but there's other examples through non-credit that we've been able to place students in as well.
There are many of them. I'm thinking of the Vet Tech program. I'm thinking of there's a certificate to become a security officer. There's one to become a personal trainer. There's a very wide menu from which our students can pick. And the real beauty of having this menu is our students historically, particularly the ones that come from adult education and go into transitions, find themselves lacking in stamina. And sometimes a short program is the best match for them. They can obtain a certificate, feel wonderful about it, go to work, and then as part of their career advancement, they can consider additional education, possibly in college, possibly paid for by the employer. We see many different ways students can better themselves, and they begin to see the ways that they can better themselves.
I think it's important for students and our listeners to also understand that, you know, we do partner together, or the three of us, but we're not doing this in isolation. So I guess my question for you is there a statewide organization of folks like you who are adult education professionals? And how often do you kind of talk to one another about the various kinds of programs that you offer?
Well, let me tackle that one, Steve.
I thought you might. Yeah.
The organization is called CAACE, C-A-A-C-E, and it's the Connecticut Association of Adult and Continuing Education, or educators. And I'm on the board of that agency. And we meet approximately once a month, and we talk about issues that we're all dealing with in our programs. And I will say that this model of collaboration with the local community college not only is very, very much applauded, it's not always seen, this level of collaboration across the state. And both in Meriden and I'm sure in Middletown, we are very, very proud not only of the collaboration, but the number of years we've been collaborating.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is I think we're entering our 6th year, is it?
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and likewise, we're very proud of it here at Middlesex, and it really has transformed the lives of a number of students who've gone through the Transitions program.
Absolutely.
We're invited at the end of each semester to a transitions roundtable where among other things, the accomplishments of students who have gone through transitions are put on the big screen so we all can see what they did after they left us. And we're in amazement. These students are showing up in the Honor Society. They're showing up in a degree program. We are fascinated and very, very happy to be part of this venture.
Yes, too, and I think, Lynn, it gets to what you talked about earlier about giving students some skills, but also the confidence that this is work they can do.
Absolutely.
So in the short time we have left, Lynn, do you have any thoughts of where partnerships like this could go into the future? Any sort of hopes and dreams for what we might be able to do next?
You know, I really think that the continued collaboration needs to be maintained. When I think back to when I first started working with Middlesex Community College about 12 years ago now, we did not have quite the collaboration. What I've seen is that through this collaboration with Middlesex Community College and the Workforce Development Board and employers, we're really able to just push our sleeves up and help the students. So I'd love to see that continued and the conversation continued as well, both through CASE and through the Workforce Development Board.
Fred, how about you? Any hopes and dreams for the future?
Well, my hope would be that as adult educators, the day will come in soon where we're permitted to provide services for individuals who already have their high school diploma. Steps are being taken to bring that into a reality. Currently, we cannot. The resources that we have are reserved for those who don't have a high school diploma. But there are a lot of individuals out there who need literacy and numeracy, and we'd like to be able to help them because this is the way they're going to get a good job and keep that job.
Well, I really would like to thank my guests, Fred Silbermann, who just had the last word, Program Facilitator at Meriden Adult Education. Thanks again for being with us today, Fred.
My pleasure.
And Lynn Stephens, School Counselor at Middletown Adult Education. Thanks for being with us too, Lynn.
Thank you, Steve.
And I'd like to thank our on-air media partner, WLIS WMRD, and all the good people at that radio station for bringing you Middlesex Moments over the air. And thanks to our listeners for joining us for another edition of Middlesex Moments. As always, you're welcome to visit us in person at our main campus located at 100 Training Hill Road in Middletown, or at our Meriden Center located at Platt High School, 220 Co Avenue, where we offer afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week. And of course, you can visit us online 24/7 at MxCC.edu, where we have lots of information about the transitions programs and links to our adult education partners. For everyone at Middlesex Community College, I'm Steve Minkler, and we hope to see you again soon.